All right, Sissy, he's sort of walking back on that some semblance of a guarantee a little bit, but what'd you make of what Doug Pederson had to say?
I don't have a problem with him because a lot of times as a coach, the coach is going to say things, Jenna, about players and everything that it's not as if he's fabricating it, but not necessarily the truth. They asked the question, well, what about the defensive tackle? It's like, oh, you know, he's playing better. You know, he's had a little injury and everything. Covering up, maybe the guy's not playing well. So in this, what we call a partnership, we realize as players, when I go out there, people like you are going to ask me questions. I'm not going to always get it right. But I expect the coach to be able to correct it and my teammates to be able to back me up. And a lot of times with a coach, he'll say something, and it's up to the players to be able to back him up. And you have a few games, and Doug's trying to back it back a little bit as far as, no, I'm not trying to say I guarantee to win. But if he had, it's up to the players and to realize he's trying to send a message because, man, they do need this game. The messaging point, if we do win this game, we are in first place. Dallas is suffering just like it's an odd year. At 500, one game above 500, you could win this division. But at certain points in the season, you have to say things and do things. So I have no problem with him saying we're getting ready to go to Dallas. And after watching Dallas the last 3 games, I ain't scared of them. You know, SMU wants to play them this weekend if they can get them on the schedule. Like the Cowboys, they're not going to present a whole bunch of problems and stuff when the Eagles look at the film. So Doug is trying to get his team going. He realizes that the truth of the matter is, even at 4-3, we will be leading our division. So even if that had been 6-1, leading the division is leading the division at a certain point. Yes, so is it going to be hard to get a wild card spot? They realize that. The season's not going how they want it to go, but staying ahead of Dallas is the priority. So I had no problem with his comments as far as going to Dallas and what needs to get done.
Listen, I think there's only going to be one person on this set today that had a real problem with his comments, and that's Coach Mancini. He'll be out here at some point, and I'm sure he'll tell me why I'm wrong here. But I'm with you, Chris, for a couple reasons. One is, I believe Doug Pederson is a really good coach who has a good pulse of his team. I've watched enough Eagles games over the last few years that he already is top 5 in the league as far as game management, as far as the types of things the coach can help you on a Sunday to win football games. And I feel like watching from afar over the last few years, he understood what he has shown that he understands, what his team needs to tap into. And maybe right now, they don't need to tap into underdog. They need to tap into front runner. They need to tap into, you know what, we're just better than them. We're going to win this game. We're going to be in first place. We're going to control our own destiny, and he needs to instill confidence in the group. What's the only potential downside to him saying that, to him putting out this, quote, guarantee, unquote? Well, it could be bulletin board material for the Dallas Cowboys. Man, this is the biggest game of the Cowboys season. They've lost 3 in a row. If they are not at maximum motivation for the home game against Philadelphia after they just got embarrassed by the Jets, then they're not a real team. So the idea, I don't think that some Cowboys were going to be sleepwalking through this week and they're going to be like, Doug Pederson said what?
Right.
Now we're going to go get them. So to me, this is a comment with very little downside, and I don't think it was casually thrown out there. He knew he was doing this radio interview. He, I think, went into it saying, you know what? I'm going to try to instill some confidence in my group that right now might be a little shaken given how they played against Minnesota.
Right. I agree with both of you. And on the flip side of that, Jason Garrett responded to Doug Pederson's comments with, well, we're just excited about the challenge. I think one comment really can sort of get your team riled up, and the other one is just a toss-away comment. Which of these two teams do you trust more, the Cowboys or the Eagles?
Ooh. Well, Jenna, I'm not one to just give away my trust. So,
well, we know.
I mean, right now, I would have to say Philadelphia because we talked from the beginning of the season. Howie Roseman, he's got the best roster top to bottom. But the 2 weakest groups in that, the linebackers of Philadelphia and their secondary, have been exposed because the front is not getting there. The defense is not worth the money they're paying them. They are not getting the type of sacks that they're supposed to. You know, Jim Schwartz is a defensive coordinator. He believes in pressure. And this is one of the most talented fronts that he's ever had. So even though that, I would still say I would take them over the Cowboys. I don't know who the Cowboys are going to be without their offensive line. A powerful football team, how can they score points and be finesse? I don't see it as much as Philadelphia. You can play some coverages. I believe their rush will come back later in the season. So I believe those things are a little more correctable.
On October 15th, after the Cowboys lose to the Jets and the Eagles get embarrassed by the Vikings, asking who you trust more amongst these teams is something apropos to who do you trust more to house sit for you, the thief or the arsonist? It's like, neither. Are the Giants available as an option?
Well, the stealing might come in handy later on.
Okay, so
arson won't.
I feel like the Eagles are the better choice, but that's based purely on preseason feelings about them. Right? If we went into this year with a blank slate, as far as no expectations for any of these teams, I'm not joking when I say I think a lot of people would say, well, what about the Giants? That if they right now are a game out of first place, are getting the best player on their team back next week, have played a hell of a lot better since they made that quarterback change, and if they beat Arizona this week, are going to be in second place because one of these two teams is going to lose just a game back. Now, I'm not out here saying I feel best about the Giants because I don't, but the NFC East, with those three teams, if we want to expand to three or just two teams, the best thing they all have going for them is the neighborhood in which they live. Because if any of these teams were in the NFC North, the NFC South, or the NFC West, they would be right now drawing dead to win the division. Right now, the Eagles or Cowboys can't compete with the Packers, the Saints, the Niners, the Seahawks. Those are the true cream of the crop in the NFC this year. These teams just happen to be in the right division.
Yeah, mediocrity. NFC East. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from First Things First, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.